Newsnight continues here tonight. President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed the national minimum wage bill into law. About 6 million workers currently earning below 700 rand a month are expected to benefit from it. The act will see a 20 rand compulsory hourly rate. It will be phased in at 18 rand an hour for farm workers and 15 rand an hour for domestic workers. Joining us for reaction now is Cosatu's President Zingiswa Losi. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I imagine, or if the statements I've read are anything to go by, Cosatu obviously welcoming this and seeing it as a positive step. Why?
It is indeed, and I must also say that we want to say that this signing of this national minimum wage is also a way of showing that when workers are united, we are able to work together in achieving such achievements. And I want to congratulate NACTU and FEDUSA, whom we have worked very hard with at the level of NETLEC. The reason why we welcome this national minimum wage, it is because, Kathy, if you go to, for an example, the garages, when they are busy filling up your tank, just go inside and see the cashiers there. Ask them how much are they earning. I'll tell you now, they are earning less than 17 rands an hour. They are covered by the MIPCO agreement. So this does not only cover those that are affiliated to Cosatu in terms of the sectors and unions. You would also realize that there are workers who are working in the retail sector, at ShopRite checkers, the packers there, who are also learning less than 20 rands an hour. Over 6.4 million workers in this country are earning less than 3,500. So we're saying this is one step towards a realization of a living wage, because it then suggests that no worker in this country should earn less than 20 rands an hour. We know that there's an exception of farm workers, but they will be sitting at 90%, and domestic workers will be sitting at 75%, catching up in 2 years. So as a federation, we really want to welcome this. You would realize that we have been waiting for this implementation of the national minimum wage since May 1 this year, but we are looking forward to its implementation in 2019. And as we know that it is not only that, because if we get excited over it alone, it will be eradicated by the high cost of transport system in this country, the fuel hikes and all of that. That is why we're saying we must now move another step and deal with what should accompany the national minimum wage, which will be the issues of comprehensive social security that will deal with the national health insurance, the effective, affordable, reliable transport system in our country, and ensure that whilst and free education for all, so that when you are getting this 3,500 as a minimum, it does not get eroded by other social issues.
And all of those things are long-term plans. You know, they're not things that are necessarily going to be effective tomorrow, especially when you talk about, you know, things like the NHI, things like improving the transport infrastructure. And on the issue of this being a mechanism which has been used to unite workers, that certainly isn't the impression that is created, because in as much as there were Cosatu-affiliated unions that were included in the NEPED process, there are also others who said that they were excluded, SAFTU being one of those that said, actually, we were kept out.
You will recall that this national minimum wage should have been promulgated on the 1st of May. The reason why it got delayed was because this issue was raised by SAFTU and even opposition parties. And Parliament said, fine, we're not going to move ahead in terms of putting it as law, and open a space for further engagement. So no one can say that they were not a part of but their issues.
You know, it's one thing opening a space and saying, well, let's hear you out because we have to. Mm-hmm. It's another then actively engaging with the concerns that are being raised by the other parties and actually saying maybe we need to have changes here and there. I mean, are there tangible changes that have been made to the proposed bill as we saw it in May to what it is today that shows that you have indeed accommodated the views, or that the views of those who were excluded from the process at its starting point have been accommodated?
Kathy, where we negotiate bills in this country, it is at the level of NETLEC. It has always been the case, even before SAFTU was formed. Those that speak on behalf of SAFTU, they were the gatekeepers, if we were to use a lack of a better word, when they were with Cosatu at the level of NEDLAC. Many bills. In this country, we don't only have 3 federations. We have more than 5 federations. Now, when they were within Cosatu, and this issue of the national minimum wage, because it's a decade that we have been dealing with it, they have been part of this issue. Now, even at that point when they were still leading in the federation, it has never been more than 5,400 as a Cosatu position. So I'm raising this issue to say that when people are outside of the very same processes that they have ensured that others will remain outside, they can't now say that those that are at the level of NEDLAC do not represent the interest of workers in this country.
But you know, and it's interesting that you put it that way, because surely it speaks to the fact that just because on principle they may not have been acting in a way that benefits all workers in the country, it does not mean that the structure should stay the same to perpetuate the very same discrimination that would have existed initially. Because as you're putting it now, that is a flaw of the system which you have traced for us to have been in existence, at least by the sounds of it, from the beginning of the process.
Not necessarily. At NEDLAC, there are rules. It's very clear how do you get to be accepted as part of NEDLAC. SAFTU was told that these are the issues that you must bring forward. Your audited financial statements, the list of those that are office bearers and all of that. It is there. Just comply. It is exactly as when in this country you want to form a trade union. There are issues that you must comply with in terms of the law so that you are eligible to have a trade union that will exist and form part of the entire labor constituency. Now, the only thing that people must do is to ensure that they comply with what is in front of NEDLAC. But we must say that even those that are represented by SAFTU, I've just made one example of garage workers, which are under NUMSA in terms of their union, covered by the MIPCO agreement. Go to the MIPCO agreement, you will realize that those garage workers, not even in 2020, they will be at 20 rands an hour. Those that are inside, not petrol attendants. So tell me, those workers, are you then saying, because you are agitating for a minimum of 12,500, you are then saying to them, wait, just leave for the 16 rands that you are earning until the year that we will realize the minimum of 12,500. We are saying, as the 3 federations representing workers in this country, let's have a base where we are saying, including those that are covered by MIPCO agreement. Now, when this gets into implementation in 2019, including those garage workers will have to start at 20 rands. It doesn't matter where the MIPCO agreement comes to an end, but immediately when this thing is put into effect, all those workers are expected to earn not less than 20 rands an hour. Then let's then further have a conversation about the realization of a living wage. But this is a victory for 6.4 million workers in this country who are vulnerable, and they are looking forward to their lives. A small addition, it may look insignificant for others, but we are telling you it is a lot for those that are still peddling with, to understand that where am I going to get the next bus fare to go to work.
Before I let you go, there's also the issue of the labor changes that now come into effect, especially the regulations that govern strikes and how long strikes can take place for. So from your view as a union, how do you think that the part of the laws that were signed by the President today are actually going to be affecting that element of things?
Let me also say that amongst those laws, we must also say that we are excited because there is the issue of the maternity protection, where fathers now, in terms of paternity, will get 10 days. Mothers who are giving birth to stillborns, including those that would have miscarriages on the 3rd trimester, will also benefit on maternity leave. Women now, in terms of the UIF, do not have to take from their insurance that they are putting aside, just like men. They are now moving from 54% to 66% of them having to receive a maternity leave payment, not taking from their insurance when they are to be retrenched and get unemployed. We are also saying that part of the issues, for an example, the issue that you can't go on strike, there is no such. What the bill says is, before you must ballot for you to make a determination on the membership that would want, how many members would want you to go on strike. But that does not take away a right to go on strike, because remember, that right is a constitutional right. But it only says, and if you look into the constitutions of our own trade unions, it has always been there. Look at the trade unions, including those that are not even in Cosatu. You will realize that by their trade unions, for them to really be trade unions in terms of the Department of Labor, they would have to have that clause in their constitution that says that we shall ballot. So it has always been there. What we fought for at the level of NEDLEC was to ensure that the right for workers to participate in a strike action, which is enshrined in the Constitution, is not taken away. And we're happy that that right remains. So we are saying all things are work in progress, but we must appreciate the step that has been taken by the President, including the members of Parliament, particularly the MPs of the ANC, for having ensured that we are where we are today. Workers of this country are celebrating.
All right, I see that you're using this time. You're abusing the time I'm giving you. Cosatu President Zingiswa Losi giving us their reaction to the minimum wage signing today. Of course, completely different views, as we've heard earlier with SAFTU's Zwelinzima Vavi.